Tender and vulnerable, gentle and unfortunate, Diana de Monsoro, the heroine of Dumas's novel, never fails to captivate readers. So much has happened around this beautiful woman. The feelings she stirred were of incredible intensity. Yet, like many other characters in the Countess de Monsoro, Diana has a real-life counterpart. Meet Françoise de Méridoire. Not even Diana, and in many ways, they have little in common. The daughter of Baron Méridoire de la Frestelinière, she was born in the family castle on the banks of the Loire in the middle of the 16th century. The family was neither particularly outstanding nor of high nobility. Additionally, they adhered to the Huguenot faith. But nonetheless, a suitor soon appeared for Françoise. When she turned 15, she was married to the wealthy nobleman Jean de Cosme, Seigneur de Luc. But this marriage lasted just over a year. Françoise's husband was killed by Huguenots during the siege of Lusignan. As a result, Françoise, like many other French Protestant women, was forced to convert to Catholicism. The young widow found herself in Paris without means or protection. Her husband's property did not belong to her, as they had no children together. Françoise could have returned home, and her family urged her to do so, but she was reluctant to leave the capital. She was so strikingly beautiful that the Queen Mother, Catherine de' Medici, invited Françoise to join her flying squadron. This was the name given to attractive young women wholly devoted to the Queen, ready to carry out any of her orders. To be precise, almost all the missions boiled down to one task: to seduce a designated individual, uncover his innermost thoughts, and report back to the Queen immediately. The Black Widow, as Catherine was known for only wearing black dresses, used her squadron to keep tabs on Prince Condé, gathering intelligence on the plans of Henry of Navarre and other prominent Huguenots. The Queen's ladies were not known for their strict morals. What specific tasks Françoise de Méridoire undertook remains unknown. However, it is unlikely that her service differed much from that of her colleagues. According to one version, she met her second husband, the Count de Monsoro, at the behest of Catherine de' Medici, but was unable to control her feelings and ended up marrying him. Another version suggests that she married Charles first and only then began her service to the Queen. However, the latter scenario seems less likely, as it is doubtful that the Count would have approved of his wife's activities. Nevertheless, Françoise came to be known as the Countess de Monsoro. There was no abduction, unlike in the book, that preceded this. Unfortunately, the aging villain in reality was just an ordinary courtier and, coincidentally, a contemporary of Bussy. This second husband of Françoise inherited his title from a relative who had died a few years earlier. He served the king's younger brother, François of Alsace, and was in charge of royal hunting. In this regard, the writer did not exaggerate. Monsoro was indeed regarded as the chief huntsman. For this very reason, due to the need to organize entertainment for the court, the Count de Monsoro often left his home for extended periods. Eventually, it was decided to move from Paris to the family castle on the Loire. This allowed the family to see each other more frequently, as the king and his courtiers enjoyed hunting in that region. By the way, the castle of Monsoro still exists today, a massive white block rising right above the river. What happened next is mostly speculation. Bussy had visited these areas and once encountered Françoise. He had seen her before in the capital, but at that time, the young woman had not made much of an impression on him. What had changed? Perhaps it was boredom. It was from this very boredom that the ideal Bussy decided to pursue the wife of the Count de Monsoro. But here's the interesting part. Chroniclers insist that Françoise did not reciprocate Bussy's feelings. Thus, his boastful claims in a letter to a friend about supposedly conquering the Countess were mere empty chatter. However, that letter proved to be fateful. It ended up in the hands of the Duke of Anjou, and from him, it reached the king. Henry III, after a brief moment of consideration, passed the message to the Count. He then rushed to his wife for the truth. When Françoise confessed that she had no idea about the letter, the Count devised a cunning plan. He suggested that his wife write a note to Bussy requesting a meeting. Naturally, this was merely a trap. The outcome was almost identical to that in the book. Count de Bussy met his demise. Françoise and Charles had 6 children together. The career of the Count de Monsoro was hardly affected by what happened with Bussy. After all, he defended his wife's honor. He lived until the age of 70 and had the opportunity to host Queen Maria de' Medici in Angers. Françoise passed away in September of 1620. Apparently, nothing else marred their family life together. As for the novel, it is, of course, splendid, although it is completely divorced from the truth.